All right, YouTube. So earlier on Brett Baer's show, he was reporting on the fact that there was a CNN reporter blocked out from the White House during one of the events in the Rose Garden. I guess it was Trump talking about a new tax or not tax deal, a trade deal. So the CNN reporter, I guess, was blocked out. My guess is because the statement actually. Let's go ahead and go to the statement first because they basically, from CNN's their side of the story, they said that they were blocked out because the question that they wanted to ask was basically deemed inappropriate by the White House, and then they basically retorted and said, "No, it wasn't. We were just going to ask a question." So I think it was probably one of these situations where it was like a Jim Acosta deal, where the reporter is probably going to yell out some question like during his actual speech, like they've done this before, especially when there's, not even when he's talking, but like when there's other things going on, when they're in the middle of a ceremony. Like the first example I remember was I think it was like this like Christian youth thing that was happening at the White House, and one of the reporters yelled from the back where all the cameras are, where all the fake news is, basically yelling, "Oh, like President Trump, like, you want to issue a statement about transgendered people being in the military?" And things like that have happened. And then Jim Acosta yelling at Kim Jong Un, and he's actually yelling at Kim Jong Un and saying like, "Hey, do you plan on giving up your nuclear weapons?" And I'm glad that both the world leaders there, or both the leaders there, they actually have pretty thick skin. So luckily it didn't throw off the peace talks or anything, but it seems like the kind of thing that CNN would try to do, like for many reasons, like not only to sabotage possible peace talks with North Korea, which is something that they hate, especially now that's happening with Trump. I mean, that's the part they really can't stand. But I think Jim Acosta was caught on a hot mic. Laura Loomer actually had a look it up here on YouTube. I think it's still here. She has a recording of Jim Acosta basically saying like I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna like yell my way to the front. That's what he said. I mean, these people are fucking sociopaths, man. In the media, they'll do anything to accomplish their goal. They're literally hell bent. It's kind of scary actually, but the cool thing is that we're actually like waking up to it. We're realizing that these people are literally fake news. It's propaganda. I think the term fake news is kind of worn off because it's more or less like, I feel like fake news itself is a meme, and a lot of people don't take that term seriously. I mean, Trump uses it in his tweets, like, that's fine, but the actual technical term is propaganda. I think that's probably what we need to start calling these people. And I'm really glad that Fox actually decided to take the side of CNN here. I'll tell you why, because now we're seeing that Fox and all the neocon producers, and don't forget that part of the Saudi royal family actually owns Fox, so keep that in mind. I'm sure a lot of people that have ties to Israel. So there's never any talk about Israel or the Rothschilds, or actually Tucker Carlson. I'll get back to that later. But anyways, I'm glad that Fox News was I'm glad that Fox News was actually coming to the side of CNN, because they've pretty much exposed themselves. And I'm sure a guy like Brett Baer, he's probably a Trump fan himself, but he is after all an actor, or an anchor as they like to call them. Let me just go ahead and talk about Fox News real quick, because there have been instances where they've actually had to cover a story about the Rothschilds because there was this alderman in Washington, D.C. that actually he was commenting on the snow, and this was like in the month of March, I think, which is unusual. It's during the springtime or the end of winter, however you want to look at it. But the fact that it was snowing there, and he that's kind of weird. So he basically took his phone and he's recording it when he's driving. He's like, all the snow, it's kind of weird. It's like, it's the Rothschilds, it's the Rothschilds. They're the ones who are, controlling the weather and shit. That's what he said. And then Tucker Carlson brought on Mark Stein. They basically joked about it. It was, I guess, humoring is entertaining. It could have been entertaining, but the fact that they kind of dodged around it, like, they were basically calling the guy anti-Semitic, and when I finish this book, The 13th Tribe, I'll go ahead and explain everything about how the Rothschilds are actually part of the Khazar bloodline. They're not actually real Semitic people. So if you use the term, you can't even call them Jews, really. I mean, they're not actually ethnic Jews. They've adopted Judaism under King Bulan. That's a whole other story, though. I'm glad that we're actually covering all these topics in this video, but let's go back to the main video, or the main topic, which is CNN. Excuse me. I think it's probably just another one of these cases where it's like a Jim Acosta deal where they wanted to yell a question, probably regarding the Michael Cohen tape, or possibly, something to do with Stormy Daniels. I don't know. Because I just tuned myself out of it. Like, they were going to, they're going to spew propaganda no matter what. Like, their question was probably going to be a loaded question at that. So I actually support the White House here. Because think about it, they're basically denying access to a so-called news agency. It's actually a propaganda psychological warfare operation. It's probably not the right combination of words there, but basically you get the spirit of what I'm trying to say. The fact that they were blocked out of the White House, I don't really have a lot of pity for them, especially when they come and they come rush in with the argument of, we're actually not being granted our free speech, or right to free speech. This is the same company that doxed a teenager for making a wrestling meme that Donald Trump just happened to retweet. And they even declared the action to be an act of terrorism against CNN, which is total bullshit. I mean, it's just a joke, and people understood that. Most sane people understood that. I mean, the crazy ones, obviously, they'll get outraged at anything. So they were like, "Yeah, let's go for it." Like he's calling for war against the press, and it could be. It's not even close. He doesn't want that. He just wants people to realize that, it's just a bunch of bullshit. That's all it is. And and that, don't get me wrong, Trump lies too. I don't even want to kiss his ass here. That's not what I do. But I like to explain things. Because I understand him. I understand like what he does. I understand the whole 4D chess thing a little bit. Like the whole thing with the Syria thing. I'm not really seeing the 4D chess there, but maybe I'm missing something. But I'm very entertained by this whole presidency, and it's not a bad thing that CNN got banned from the White House for a day. It's probably for the best. They probably would have disrupted the ceremony anyway. Like, knowing them, they probably would have. Whew. All right, that's it. Peace out, guys.